Your friend has a beautiful backyard space. Like, that just looks incredibly tropical and gorgeous in all those different areas, right? Sectioned off areas. So it is the time of year when we get question after question about people's decks. Yeah. They want to stain their decks. My husband is in those group of people bothering Sharon Grech about the deck or the fence. Like, there's always something. But there's a lot to know before you start. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this show for 14 plus years. It'll be 15 years in the fall. I am still nervous that you're about to quiz me about this, even though it's something that we handle every season. So we're going to talk about some of the technical things you need to think about.
Exactly, because it is work. When you have a wooden deck, it requires work. It requires work to stain it. It requires work to maintain it. But when you do it, especially at the beginning of the season, you get to enjoy it for the rest of the season. And it's so short in Canada, so take advantage. Do it. Right. Make it look beautiful.
Just get it done and then enjoy it for the rest of the season. So my first question, and the audience all has paddles, so we're all getting tested here, everybody.
I have faith.
So the first question is, you want to stain your new pressure-treated deck. It is in great shape, so you can just choose a color and stain away. True or false? Let me go with false. There's a few trues out there, but mostly false.
Overall false, and that is correct.
It is false. Give yourself some love if you went false. Yes. Why is it false?
Okay, a new pressure-treated deck, and in fact, a new deck in general is clean, and you know it. But when you want stain to work, it needs to penetrate. It needs to absorb into the wood, and a new deck often has what's called a mill glaze. It's almost like a glossy finish that just naturally happens from the high heat of the lumber planers. So it prevents anything from penetrating into it. So you want to wait a few months to let it sort of it depends on the sun exposure and all that, but 3 months is kind of a safe amount of time to let that break down. There are chemicals that you can use to you know, to try and make that happen faster if you don't have any patience. But most of us are a bit lazy, so we'd rather just wait. So do that. So the big thing with, and the other thing with pressure-treated wood, mind you, is also that it's chemically injected, right? So it's kind of wet. It stays wet inside for a lot longer. It might feel dry, but it's not. So the best thing to do is do a little water bead test, and that's how you'll know that it's ready. And I've already been sticking my fingers in here, Tracy, so it's not your drink. Don't drink it. You put a little bit of water. If it starts to bead, then you know, well, it'll bead at the beginning no matter what. But when it stays beading for like 5 minutes or so, then you know it's not ready. When it's been, this piece over here has been sanded, so we kind of like cheated it along.
You want it to go in.
See? Yeah, exactly. It's already starting to go in, sink into the wood. So you know the stain is going to do the same thing, and it's going to sink in there, and you're in good shape. So.
Smart. Okay, you do have to do a little bit of work before you get in there.
You have to do a little bit of work, exactly, even when it's new.
Next question is, you have a really big deck, so it's best to use a roller so the stain can be applied quickly and evenly. Best to use a roller. What do you all think? I think it's true. It's best to use a roller. Why not? You got a lot of... No.
I'm sorry.
I promise I watch Cityline. I promise I watch it. I know these things. No? Not
false.
A roller?
And you know what? It's a bit of a trick question, okay? So the best way for stain to go into the wood is to push it in. And a brush is always the best. A stain brush, in fact, is the best way to do that. It'll definitely push it in. And Tracy, I'm going to get you to roll this. Here, I'll get some extra, or you can do it. You can do in this show.
Yeah.
Get some
Even though I got the answer
get some stain on it. It's okay. Roll it out a little bit. There you go. Okay, we're going to do a lesson for Tracy on how to put paint onto a roller.
Hold on, I've got this. I promise.
There you go.
Like, why won't it get on the other side?
Okay,
here we go. Here we go.
Once it gets wet, it starts to roll. Okay.
Okay.
Wet and roll. All right, so now put the roller on it. And then this is a big deck. Just go for it. You're going to end up with lap marks on a big area.
This looks good to me.
It's actually not bad. It's not bad. But if you're out there on a big deck and you're just using that, it's going to sit on top of the surface and not penetrate. So what you can do, if you and Leo want to do this together, you can roll
and stay married.
Yes, exactly. Maybe get the kids then. Forget that. Then you take a stain brush and you go behind and you just kind of push it in. It's called back brushing, which we don't always want to do when we're painting, but with staining you do. So you kind of take the excess off. And I'm going to show you a trick. Can you grab that pole?
Yeah.
Can you reach it? I'm sorry.
Not a question I get all the time on the show. Grab that pole. Okay. Anything for you.
This is Awesome. So look, you can get a stain brush that can go onto your pole.
It's all making sense.
So you don't have to get down on your hands and knees. So it makes it a lot easier. So,
Good. I like that they
I'll put the pole away.
We're almost out of time, but we got one more question. A solid or opaque stain can be applied without removing an existing finish. Is that true or false? I am going to say false at the risk of maybe being wrong again. The audience is mixed.
Half and half.
Mostly false, though.
Okay. It's actually true. This is the only time. The only time solid stain is a film forming stain, so it's more like paint. So it can go over top of other finishes. Now, it doesn't mean you could just like throw it on. You still want to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure that you do a light sand and like just an 80 grit with your pole and your sand. But you can put a solid stain over any of these other ones. So we've got semi-solid, semi-translucent, and translucent. And you can put solid over all of that, and you can choose any color.
Okay, well, solid is the choice for me because that sounds easy. Thank you